A movie theater sold 150 tickets on a certain day, with adult tickets costing $10 and student tickets costing $5. If the total revenue was $1,200, how many adult tickets and how many student tickets were sold? Okay, so I'm going to say A equals adult, S equals student, but I'm going to be really careful to make them little s's so that it doesn't look like a 5. And the first equation I'm going to do is going to have just money. So adult tickets are $10, so I'm going to say 10A. Student tickets are $5, so plus 5S. Ooh, that's really tempting it because the 5 and the S are right next to each other. The total revenue was 1,200. Okay, so this equation is all about money. And I used up the 10, the 5, and the 1,200. And the only number that's left is the 150. And that is a total. So we say adult tickets plus student tickets is 150 tickets. I think you guys had one like this on your last test. Okay, how do you want to solve? There's a bunch of different options. What do you think? Anything? Yeah. Times -10 on the bottom. Beautiful. So I have 10A plus 5S equals 1,200 for the top one. -10A minus 10S equals -1,500. Yeah. Okay. Now the A's eliminate. -5S equals -250, I believe. No, that's 300, isn't it? Divide by -5. S equals 60. Okay, and I like to always plug back into the total equation because it's easier. So A plus 60 equals 150 minus 60, A equals 90. Okay, now we're going to move down to the flow chart down here. Number 12, it says mark any reflexive sides or vertical angles, and I can see vertical angles right here. Okay, now everyone in the room, take a look at the screen. What type of a thing is this mark for? And your choices are angle or side. Angle. And what's this? Side. And what's this? Angle. Okay, I'm gonna start with these angles. So angle A is congruent to angle D. And that is given because the marks were printed there when I got to the problem. Then I'm gonna go to this side. This is side AC is congruent to side DC. That's funny. And that is also given because the marks were there when I got to the problem. And now I'm going to do the verticals. And for verticals, you have to do all three letters. So I'm going to say angle ACB is congruent to angle DCE. And the verticals are at C, so the C's have to be in the middle of both of these two. Okay, and then triangle. So I'm going to do alphabetical order on the first one. So A, B, C. A to B to C. So that would be D, E, C. Angle, side, angle. Okay, so you guys, I don't know if you've been looking at your packet, but you have a quiz on the block day, Thursday. One of the problems is a flow chart. There are no bubbles. You have to draw them yourself. It's not just fill in the blank. And you have to remember the reasons also. Is it going to be one like this? Yeah. Not a hard one or anything. It's just that you have to draw the bubbles and remember to put the reasons. And you have to know when to do three letters on the angles also. So just so you know, I'm going to show you the quiz topics when I'm done teaching. So you guys could all look at the stamp sheet side when you have a second. When you're done with this lovely flow chart, flip to the stamp sheet side. It is really coming down out there. I know. Okay, so this is today. We're going to do problem 66 to 68 in our notebook. And the notes are actually problem 68. It's not a separate thing, which is good. The homework tonight is the quiz review worksheet. So let's find that. Right here. It says quiz review worksheet. There are two exponentials, distance, midpoint, and some flowcharts. So just so you know. And notice your quiz is in bold here on the block day. So just so you know. Okay, so now we're going to the notebook. And these are going to require you to do some setup. So That's so. The goal of these problems is to complete the web for exponential functions, which means being able to go back and forth between the table, graph, and equation. And sometimes a situation also. Okay, so first problem, number 66A. What is this coordinate right here? If you have 5 and you go over 1 and up 2, what's this coordinate right here? 1, 7, right? And I'm going to write it in pink because I want you to see that I did not have that when I first got to the problem. I had to figure that out. And so for the table, I have 2 points. I have 0, 5, and 1, 7. Guys, please focus. Okay, now to find the multiplier, I say 5 times something is 7. This is going to be a weird one. Don't worry. 5b equals 7. Divide by 5. B equals 1.4. Okay, so what is my equation? Y equals 5 is the start. 1.4 is the multiplier to the x. Okay, so this is graph to table to equation. Okay, B. My first point that I have is -1, 120. Damn. What coordinate is this if it's right on the axis there? 0, 40. Great. 120 times B is 40. Okay, now let's be very careful about this. Why did I do a decimal for this one and a fraction for this one? Does anybody know why I did a decimal for this and a fraction for this, Mike? Exactly, because this one ended really nice. This one is a repeating decimal that'll go on forever. Great job. Okay, so y equals, which one of the numbers up here is A, the start? 40. You always want to make sure it's the one with the 0. It doesn't have to be the first one in the table. It just needs to be the one next to the 0. Okay, do you guys have any questions about graph to table to equation so far? Anything not make sense? I know we're getting weird answers. That's totally normal. Okay. By the way, if you could just forgive me on my sketch for D, I don't know what happened. I tried to fix it like 4 times and I gave up. So it's fine. I'm fine with it. I'm over it. Next year at this time, when I look back at my notebook, I'm gonna laugh though. Yeah. Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. I hope that you guys' curve is much better than mine, or that you didn't write it in pen. Unerasable pen. Yeah, it's bad. Real bad. Ugh, so ugly. Okay. Anyway, on C, I'm gonna start. I always go left to right in my table. So the first point I have is this one, which is 0, 18. And then this point is 15, 18. And you're like, Mrs. Talbot, this is not exponential. I know. Okay, so 18b equals 18. B equals 1. And that makes sense because it's saying 18 every time. So the equation is y equals 18 times 1 to the x. 18 being my start, 1 being my multiplier. That one is just not that exciting. Okay, now we're going to get to one that's more challenging. That's D. And this is very important. So we have numbers that aren't right next to each other. It didn't matter in this one because it was 18. But in this one, it really matters. What I want you guys to do is start with 0, 7, which should make sense from my ugly point right here. But then go 1, 2, 3, 56. Make sure that your table has spots for 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now I have some mental math geniuses in this class. Just by looking at it, is there anyone that can tell me what the multiplier is? Yeah. Good. 2. Great job. Okay, so if you times 2, this would be 14. And if you times 2, this would be 28. And if you times 2, 56. Okay, so our equation would be y equals 7 times 2 to the x. Okay, so the goal for me for the rest of this lesson is to teach you how to find the 2 without having to do it in your head. Okay, so come down to number 67, make me the same table. This is the same table as we were using in number 66D. I'm just going to teach you how to do this using algebra instead of sitting and guessing and checking, trying to figure it out. Okay. First step is to make a table, and you always want to have a spot for 0. So we did that. Second step is to figure out how many times you have to multiply to get to 56. And so you go like this. You go, okay, there's 1 multiplier times B. 1 multiplier times B. 1 multiplier times B. So I'm saying 7 times some number times that same number times that same number is 56. We already figured out that it's 2, but how do we get the 2 using algebra? Okay, we're going to say 7 times B times B times B is 56. Exactly. Okay, so my next step is to change the B times B times B to B cubed. Divide Okay, so very important. I need everyone to get a calculator. Find a calculator, get your calculator out, whatever calculator you have. We need to talk again about how to take different roots in the calculator. Okay, now if you're going to use one of my calculators, you can hit the math button, which is underneath alpha right here, the second one below the blue. And cube root is here, and all of the rest of the roots are here. In this one, it's specifically the cube root, and in this one, you have to tell it what root you want. So if we go down to the cube root, and then 8, you can tell the cube root of 8 is 2. Now that won't work for the fourth root stuff, but it works for the cube root. Okay, now, if you have this calculator right here, the cube root is not on here, which is fine. You have this little x root guy, which is right above the exponent button. And what you do is you type 3 first, because you want a cube root. Then you go second exponent. And what it does is it takes your 3 and plugs it into that little x, even though it doesn't look like it. And then 8, cube root of 8 is 2. Does anyone need me to do that again? I can do it again. Yeah. Anyone need me to do anything again? After her, and you guys should not be using the bathroom during class again for the millionth time. Okay. Do you need me to do that? Okay. Okay. So, and in this problem, A is 7. You get that from the 0. So the y-intercept. Y equals 7 times 2 to the x. Okay, now we're going to do number 68, which is the notes part. That's not it. Don't worry, we already did that. We're going to do 2 examples for this. Okay, here we go. Step 1, make a table. Your table always needs to have a spot for 0. This one already does. We're lucky. So we don't have to think about that. 0, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1,208. Step 1, make a table. always has a spot for 0. Step 2, count how many bees it will take to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop. No, to get from the top to the bottom of the table. Okay, everybody see that it takes 4 bees. 5b to the 4th equals 1,280. Divide by 5. Okay, now what kind of root do we need to take in this problem? If it's to the 4th power. This is a really hard question. No, it's not. What kind of root do we need to take when it's to the 4th power? The 4th root, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna ask everyone in the whole room to get a calculator and make sure that you know how to do the 4th root of 256. Which you can kind of figure out just from kind of this. I found it 2/8. I found it with the graphing calculator and I found it with the regular calculator. It is 4. Okay, now we're not going to graph it, but what would you do if I asked you to graph it? Hey, look at the table. Okay, what I'm saying is, you would take the multiplier of 4, and you fill in the rest of the table and graph the coordinates. So you go 5 times 4 is 20, times 4 times 4 times 4, and then you graph the points and make a curve. Okay, we're not gonna graph it right now. I just want to be sure that you guys know how to fill in the rest of the table. Okay, we have one more. Yep. This one has a extra spicy twist to it. That's true. It also has a big number.
That is a really big number.
Indeed.
177,147.
Yes. And notice I didn't put commas in it on purpose because it's in a coordinate and it gets confusing where the comma would be because there's a comma in coordinates.
Yeah, that's actually,
Okay. Now this one has a little bit of extra spice. And the reason it has extra spice is because 0 is not one of the points and it's not included in my table. So what I mean by that is I have to have a spot for 0 in my table. So I have to start it at 0. And then 2 is 243 and 5 is 177,147. Okay, again, your table has to have a spot for zero. So if your points don't have zero between them or in them, you have to backtrack the table to zero or forward track it. You have to have zero. Okay. Now, next question. How many B's does it take to get from here to here? 3. Beautiful. So I say 243 B to the third equals 177,147. And hopefully this is where the numbers will get better. Okay, everyone in the room, make sure that you know how to go on the calculator and find the cube root of 729. This divided by this. I think you reverse the numbers. It should be 1477147. Okay, cube root. Should be 9. I am not going to tell you how to find the cube root or fourth root or fifth root in your calculator. Now is the time to ask. Okay, now we have B is 9. This is what makes this problem extra spicy. You have to work backwards to find A. So divide by 9 to go backwards up the table. So 243 divided by 9 is 27. And then divide by 9 again. So that means A is 3. So we need to know that we multiply to go down the table and we divide to go back up the table. So our equation is y equals 3 times 9 to the x. Okay, you guys have 12 minutes to start your quiz review. Or come over here and ask me how to operate your calculator if you're too embarrassed to ask me during class, which is totally fine. Yours first. Oh, yeah, and yes, then Hallie, we'll just go at the same time. Hurry though.